Weakness is a plague, and unfortunately in today's world, it feels like this plague has spread all over the place. Because a lot of people nowadays lack mental strength and physical strength. And that's a problem, because to have great societies, to have healthy societies that flourish and that stand the test of time, you need strong people, both mentally and physically. You need people who are mentally strong to run the society, to run the nation, and then you need people who are physically strong, and they need some mental strength as well to defend that nation. But around the world nowadays, it feels like many nations are lacking in these things. It seems like the world is kind of becoming bereft of people who are both mentally strong and physically strong, because these ideals aren't even really spoken of in society anymore. They aren't really idealized anymore. There's actually a really interesting example here that was brought to my awareness a couple months ago by a page on Instagram where they showed male role models from like the 1980s versus male role models from now, from 2020. And it was interesting because in the 80s you had people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and men like that who were jacked physically. They were big dudes, and they also, all the characters they portrayed were mentally strong as well. They had that mental toughness, that grit to them. But nowadays, now the male role models are like superheroes, like friggin' Tom Holland is Spider-Man, or I can't remember, Chris Evans, is that his name? The Captain America guy. You have men like that, and sure, some of them are a bit on the strong side physically, like Chris Evans certainly is, and Chris Hemsworth, the guy who plays Thor. I'm so bad at remembering celebrity names. It's like my brain doesn't deem it useful information, so I just forget it. But basically, my point is, those guys aren't quite the same in terms of role models that we had in the past. Sure, they have that physical strength, but they kind of aren't portrayed to have that mental toughness that role models had back in the day, back in the 80s. And it's really interesting because we need strong role models like that for all of society. We need them both for men and for women, because we need strong men and strong women. But for whatever reason, it's almost like, well, one, we know that masculinity is kind of under attack nowadays, so men are being punished for being masculine, so a lot of men are becoming more feminine because of that reason, and that's not a good thing at all. But then you never really have had strong female role models, and now there are a bit more of them, but they're kind of forced, and that's not a good thing. That strength shouldn't be a forced thing where it's kind of like they just are naturally strong and they naturally can beat up men and whatnot. Like, what's the female, the Captain Marvel? Is that her name? I don't know any of these superheroes except for the ones I grew up with. But I believe she's a female role model, right? But she's already special. She didn't really have to work for it. And we need role models that have to go through tough journeys to become strong. For instance, one of the best female role models out there is Ripley from Alien, because she was just a normal woman at the start of the movie. In fact, she had like no toughness to her whatsoever. But then throughout the movie, she has to evolve and she becomes strong over time until the point where she's just like a complete and utter badass. And there isn't really a lot of that nowadays. We don't have those role models for both men and women. And it shows because now society is kind of taking this downward turn where people are just becoming mentally and physically weak. Now, the mental weakness is obviously heavily influenced by this role model side. There just aren't a whole lot of role models for people to emulate. But the physical strength side is being caused just by laziness and people eating horrible and just not knowing proper nutrition, and then not having the discipline to work out all the time. So we just have all these people who are both mentally and physically weak, and it is not good. I mean, I don't want to be like a doomsday person, but I can already kind of foresee some major consequences to this in the future, where we may see some really horrible things happen because of all this weakness everywhere. You see, evil people or just bad people in general are able to take advantage of weakness when they see it. And it's already kind of happening in politics. I don't really want to get into it too much because this isn't a political video, but we're basically probably going to see some of the consequences of this cultural trend in our lifetimes, and it's unfortunate. So I didn't really want to make this video super negative, so to avoid that, let me share with you some tips to help you become mentally strong and physically strong, because both sides are important. You need to focus on both. Do not just focus on one or the other. I remember when I was younger, like, I've always been pretty intelligent thanks to my genetics. I mean, my dad and his dad before him, and I'm pretty sure my grandpa's dad as well, have all had great memories, and that's just helped tremendously with us through school and whatnot. But I remember when I was younger, I used to value the mental side of things way more than the physical side. I was like a smart twig. I was thin as hell. I had no muscle on me whatsoever, and I thought that was okay because I was like, oh, I'm smarter than buff guy, so I don't need to be buff. That is a stupid way of thinking. Do not think that way, please. That is just so dumb. There was a Stoic philosopher, I can't remember which one, it may have been Epictetus, but he basically said something along the lines of, if you don't push your physical body to its limits and become basically as physically capable as possible, then you're wasting your life. He was basically arguing that Stoics, or even any kind of philosopher, should strive to be both mentally the best they can be and physically the best they can be. There's a reason a lot of the ancient Greek philosophers, when you see their depictions and statues and whatnot, they're buff, right? They're not these like twig, tiny guys. They're all jacked. That's because they understood the importance of both mind and body. You need to combine the two. And that's what happens if you choose to value mental strength and physical strength. You'll become one of those just jacked philosophers. And that's like the ideal. That's the epitome of what a human can be. Because we should all strive to be both mentally strong and physically strong. Do not neglect one side of the equation. If you're already physically strong, then work on your mental strength too. You just can't neglect either one. They both work together. So, guys, just make sure you prioritize each one. And just to give you a few tips, since I already said I would do that, but I kind of skipped it for a bit. For mental strength, just try doing things that challenge you as much as possible. You can even do this on a daily basis by doing things that make you uncomfortable, like taking a cold shower, because nobody really wants to do that. But if you do it every day, you'll be developing mental toughness. Or forcing yourself to go to the gym as often as possible. Not every day, you need time to rest, but like 4 to 5 times out of the week, I would say, is what you should aim for. And especially force yourself to go on the days that you don't feel like it. Those are the days that will determine, or that will provide, the vast majority of your mental strength, because they'll teach you to do things that you don't want to do. And that's how you develop that mental strength, that toughness, that grit. So that's important as well. And then, well, now you can kind of see how mental strength and physical strength go hand in hand, because now that I'm going to give you tips for physical strength, they're basically the same as the mental strength aspect. Because yeah, go to the gym and work out, exercise, eat better, just be disciplined with your physical health. Guys, we should all strive to be at our physical peak. It's so, I get kind of, I don't know the right word. It's not upset, it's not sad, but I guess a bit bummed out is the right way of putting it, when I see people who just let themselves go physically, because they're just wasting so much of their potential. And you can't hit your full potential if you're unhealthy physically. You just can't, because the mind and body are connected. So if you ignore that side of the equation, guess what? It affects your mental aspect as well. That's why a lot of depressed and unhappy people, they can actually eat themselves into feeling that way, because they're going to be malnourished with their nutrients and vitamins that they need every day. And if you're overweight, that is going to greatly impact your quality of life as well. There are so many health problems that come just from that alone. So it's important, guys, focus on both of these aspects, mental strength and physical strength. Choose or aspire to become one of these rare people in today's world, because they are becoming rare, unfortunately. Like I was talking about earlier in the video at the beginning, these people are becoming rare because society is just kind of not encouraging that anymore, at least not like it used to. So Choose to be rare, guys. You won't regret it. But anyway, I'm gonna step off my soapbox because I feel like I've just been ranting this whole video, but this stuff is really important to me because there's just such a lack of mental and physical strength in today's world, and it's sad to see. So I hope that you guys aspire, like me, to become the epitome of what a human can be, which is combining both of those aspects in your own life. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe or follow if you aren't already, and then like, comment, and share the video for the algorithm. That will help me grow, and you will have my gratitude for that. But let me know your thoughts on this, and let me know if you foresee any trends in society because of this lack of mental and physical strength, or let me know if you're working on this journey and how it's going for you. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Arrivederci.